Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I have decided to change things a little bit and we're going to have to do a change. Definitely a change. I'm going to move the PC from the Ghost S1 from Louqe to an Ikea drawer. The drawer I chose is the, how do you call it? The Rust from Ikea. It's the cheapest, smallest cabinet they have. It's kind of a nice one. You can put a little countertop on it and have it like a minimalist desk. The desk is 70 centimeters tall by 62 wide and 30 as depth. So we're gonna try to build in this one. It wasn't too hard. You just need to go to the hardware store and buy a few stuff. The stuff that I bought, the wood, the screws and plastic spacers, wasn't more than, I don't know, 140 kroner. That's roughly 14 euro, I think, ish. Because I bought some really nice wood that I put it on, so I'm really sure. Oh yeah, and in this price I bought also 4 L-type metal brackets, so I can perfectly put the bottom that I wanted inside the drawer, so it doesn't sag, or I don't know, the PC will completely drop. So let's see the drawer and move the camera in a different angle so you can understand everything that's going on, and we're gonna start from there. Okay, so this is the Louqe Ghost S1. As you can see, the drawer from this Rust piece of furniture is kind of almost the same. I think it's maybe half a finger less. And the only problem I had with this one is because I don't have water cooling or some other type of cooling inside. If you have 3 of these fans going when you're gaming, like full throttle, inside your living room, it's quite loud. So I said, okay, let's make it a little bit more silent, so we're gonna put it inside the furniture. And I wanted to put the whole case inside the furniture, but I realized it already doesn't have very good ventilation as it is. So I said, okay, we're gonna move it inside the drawer. So I took all the hardware out. You don't need the back plate for this, so you can just leave it in your computer case if you're gonna keep it or not. And then we're gonna have this drawer. And these are the leftover pieces. This is the wood that I bought. It's quite thick wood. It's a little bit thicker than the shelf. Shelf itself. Yes, that's all. Shelf. And let's see. This one is 1 centimeter. It's almost 2 centimeters thick. and you can go to the hardware store, and I just cut it up myself, but you can ask them to cut it 55 and a half, and this is 30 already, so you just need one cut here technically. Before you had this one inside here, which is kept on the sides with 4 plastic nails, which you can take them out really easy, and it comes with these on the bottom, but as you can see it's easy to bend, so you can't put a PC when it's this flimsy, and it's so thin, so you can't screw anything inside. So next best thing, we got the wood. We got 4 of these L-shaped metals brackets that I put on the sides. I did everything with the shelf laying on these 2 sides, so it's completely flat on the bottom side, so it's nothing coming out, it's just the trim from the drawer itself. Yeah, it's not that complicated, technically speaking. Yeah. As you can see, because the shelves are, what do you call it, they did do it in the factory, so you can put them on both sides. They're ambidextrous, so you can even use this as a cover if you have lower components and you don't know what you're going to have in the shelf on the top, so it doesn't fall anything on it. Or you can make some holes, I don't know. You can reuse the bottom end. Okay. After this, you only need to have a couple of tools, like a screwdriver to put all the screws in. You need to have some different length screws for different components. I mean, this is a 2.5, this is a 1.5 centimeter, and this is a 1 centimeter screw. I got them all with a T10 Torx head. Can you see? Yes, you can, because they're more reliable when it's coming to screwing and unscrewing multiple times. Of course, I had a flat screwdriver, because you will need that when you're taking apart the Ikea. You will need probably some pliers, some snips, yeah, and of course a where is it? What have I done? Okay. And of course the T10 Torx screwdriver. I'm gonna use a bracket for the power supply. Of course, you can just use double sticky tape to put everything, like all the other components that don't need a riser itself. So for this one, I'm having the bracket. You can use a standard button from an old case, or you can use a more fancy one if you have it. I'm gonna have a custom setup for this one, so I'm very sure it has good cooling. Power supply, be quiet, 500 watts. I don't think it's gonna be necessary more than that. First thing first, mount the bracket to the power supply. Of course, as usual, we're gonna do this unedited, so you can actually have an idea how much time it takes to do this. I did put the brackets in before, so that's a 10-minute job max. It's just I put 2 screws on the bottom and 1 screw here, so it's like 12 screws in total. So you don't need to, it's nothing really hard. The hard part is the one that is coming after this one, which I did off camera because it takes a little bit of thinking. Because I already had a custom length power supply cables for the motherboard, I said I'm gonna go with the shorter one so I don't do a big complete mess inside. I stripped apart the graphics card. I installed the plastic standoffs with the screws. I took away the shroud because I'm using the holes of the shroud itself. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're gonna start with doing your layout. You're gonna see how long are your cables, where you can put everything. I chose this setup because it makes the most sense for me. I'm having a riser cable coming from here underneath the motherboard and coming out on this side. All these are already set up from my old computer, so I don't need, that's why I didn't take this off, so I don't need to put new thermal paste and everything. You just take the pieces from the computer itself and start doing your layout to know exactly what you want to do. I thought this was the best layout for me because then this one will take all the air from here, push it towards here, and it will just pass through and go on this side. For this one, because I have a Ryzen 2600, I chose this big AIO for my other case also, and I just paired it up with a slim Noctua fan. You don't need more, it's plenty. So if you have, this is a Deepcool 240, the old version, not the new one. I think this is the 2018 model. And I just paired it up with this slim Noctua fan. It's plenty for a 2600 if you're not going to overclock it. If you're going to keep it stock, this setup, the rad with the slim fan, won't jump over 50, 55 max if it's too much heat going inside the shelf. Because I already put this together once, so I can check the temperature, so I'm not doing this and telling everybody, oh, you can just put it inside the drawer and just forget about it. So and the video card, I actually took the fans that is coming with this one, and we're gonna just place them on top like this. This will give way better performance in cooling department because it had two of these 90mm flimsy ones. It's gonna be much more quiet, and it doesn't matter if you have, these one came with RGB. I got it on promo, so I can get it without RGB. But to do this setup from a video card to a normal 4-pin, you will need to buy two special adapters. Okay, so it goes from a mini, this is the cable that was inside the shroud, and these are the plugs that were connecting to the fans inside already. So yeah, this is a mini 4-pin to a normal 4-pin setup, and you're just gonna put everything together and it should work just fine. And I just need to, RGB, this one. You will also, would be really nice if you had some, I did it with double sticky tape on the fans to the rad. You can do it with zip ties if you don't want to have like sticky tape all over your radiator, but I don't care very much. Very important is to stay cool and not move around, so I will do that. After you choose your layout, have to be quite careful with what you do around the components, because these are screws and they are quite sharp, and you have to apply good pressure so your screwdriver doesn't go around all the components inside and destroy your PC in a fraction of a second. You don't need to pre-drill a hose for this one. You just need to how do you call it? You just need to screw it in, because I bought wood screws directly. So and this is Scandinavian pine, so it's quite soft, so you don't need, that's why I actually bought this kind of wood. It came already treated and nicely finished, the same as the furniture, so I didn't need to do anything. I don't need to use sandpaper, I don't need to use varnish, I don't need to use paint, I don't need to use anything. I just set it up in, and it's really nice because you can just screw everything in the wood, because it's so soft you don't need to use so much pressure. I would recommend tightening everything by hand so you can feel what you are doing. If you do it with screwdriver, a mechanic, an electric one, you might overdo it and destroy the PCB, or just over tighten it and then you'll have to reposition the motherboard or the graphics cards inside the wood, because it's not possible to use that hole anymore. Okay, this seems to be tight enough. Give it a shake, see everything is in. We are going to take out the motherboard now. We're gonna put in the bracket for put the power supply inside really quickly. I mean, everything, the most time eating thing on this is going to be planning it, not the actual, because literally it's not. So I have 2 screws here, but this you can use double sticky tape. So it's 4 screws here and 4 screws on the motherboard. So it's technically 8 screws. So it doesn't take that long to put 4 screws in. 4 dividers. Oh my god. A few more turns. Okay. Again, just oh yeah, and I did one more thing that I forgot to mention. Everything is clean. So it had 2 handles on it. I will just put one handle back, and I just made the other hole that it had for the handle larger, so I can put in a power button in the hole. So in case I take out the PC, as you can see the outline, I can put technically the handle back on, and I won't destroy the outside finish of this. So now I'm gonna put in the button. So for this one I used the 1.5 centimeter screws, but for these ones I used the 2.5 centimeter, because you're already having the for the graphics cards I used 0.5 centimeter on a divider, but on the motherboard I just stacked 2 of them together, so it gave me a little bit over 1 centimeter of height, because I have the riser cable underneath and I want more space. And if you have a little bit more space, it's so much better, especially because the riser cable has a bracket, so it depends on what you get. You might need a little bit more height adjustment, so it makes it great here, but it's not so great when you're trying to put everything together on the motherboard side. Okay, now put in the power button, and again, depending on what kind of button you choose, this is again for me the hole is quite small, because I didn't choose to actually make the hole as big as my finger, because I have like huge fingers. I have like total little sausages. So I did the hole as big as the button, so I can use a pencil to just turn it on. It's really cool because if you have kids, they can turn it on for you because they have really small fingers. But you can do the hole bigger if you want, but I chose not to have it that big so it's not visible as a button. Or if it sticks out, sometimes you hit it with your foot because it's gonna be on. I put it on the last this is the last drawer in that cabinet, because the cabinet comes with similar backing on the back, but it covers only the first two, so I wanted to keep as much as the as in original, and also the integrity of the furniture, because being so cheap, this backing makes a lot of resistance, structural resistance, if you put it in the back and just put the nails, as Ikea says. So we're not losing any structural resistance on this little piece of furniture, which is quite awesome. So the last drawer was the best one because I didn't need to do any modifications. It's just free space on the last one. Okay, we will go with this under, and now we have to, I think I can start using zip ties by now. Put it inside. Okay, now I will also plug in the other cables maybe. This is an SSD drive. I mean, if you really wanted, I mean, you can probably fit a whole hard drive inside, but that depends also on your budget and needs. I don't recommend getting something you don't actually need. If you need it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It's it is what it is. Some people actually need it. I actually need it, but because I wanted also a small case, and I got this one, I also went with a different solution for my hard drives for now. We will see for the coming future. Okay. Cable management while we work, and then no, this SATA cable can wait. In my case, I have to connect the riser cable right now because it's quite short and it won't give me enough room to move it later. We are going to put the pads under. I got 8 one type and 4 another type because I actually took in consideration that I will probably have to not have any screws hanging from this side, especially when I'm working with the riser cable, so I don't screw it up. And now maybe I can get the same holes so I don't completely destroy this. Okay. And now on the other ones. Yay! You don't need to screw it that much because you have a whole centimeter technically going inside, so as long as it's snug and it doesn't it's not moving around really much, that's perfect. You don't want it to have a, you don't need to feel any wiggle or anything in it. It's just really snug. Don't over tighten it. As I told you, you can break the PCB. Just so it's snug there. For the SSD, I have also an NVMe here, but I need extra storage for the games. So I'm having an SSD. This is a 500 gig SSD, quite cheap, nothing special. Like this. In my case, it has enough room and it stays snug. The cable, it's quite snug. It's exactly the right size, it's not gonna go anywhere. We plugged it in. Then we're gonna set up this one so it doesn't move. My way of doing it is with a little bit of this. It's plenty enough. I don't think you need more, but of course you can also buy a little bit of how do you call it, you can make a bracket, so you can take also a piece of wood like this wide, this big, as your radiator, and you can make holes through it and then take zip ties and put it, and then just screw that piece of wood to this one. That will make it so you don't put double sticky tape on your rad, but I know this is quite good sticky tape, but I'm not worried, we can clean it up if we want to move it in a new case. So I'm gonna line it up with, so it's not gonna sit on these metal brackets, it's gonna actually sit on the wood. So in case it vibrates or anything else, it's just gonna vibrate here, but it's not gonna be metal on metal directly. The fan, you have to buy custom screws also. I had that from before, my previous video. So I had custom screws. I just got 2, you don't need more. It doesn't, it's not gonna go full throttle anyway because of the big radiator and not gonna make so much heat. You're not gonna jump over 50 watts with this one if you're not doing any super intensive work. Plug in the button now before you plug in the cables for the motherboard. Sorry if you can see my head, but I need to see what I'm doing. Ugh. Plug in the cable. Okay, plugged in the power button right now. I'm gonna plug in the 8-pin first. And then I'm gonna plug it in here. Then we're gonna have the 24-pin. Which is gonna be here. Perfect. So all my cables are kind of tidy right now. The only problem I'm having is the headers on this motherboard are a little bit, is like 2 centimeters. I needed more. So I took a fan hub and we're gonna just route it underneath the motherboard. So in future, if I want to keep this setup, I can add more fans for more cooling power. Okay, it's not enough room, it seems. Okay, didn't expect that one to happen. Okay, we're gonna put it on the CPU fan header, so it's actually controlled by the CPU. If I could actually manage to... Okay. Whew. More sticky tape, more sticky tape. More sticky tape. If you don't have any nails, just use the snippers, or how are they called? Like this. Hide the cables. We're gonna put this cable back in its original position because now we have enough room for it. Okay. I don't know. I'm kind of rubbish at this. Okay. And we're gonna put it in position, in this position here. Okay. And now we have to deal with this crisis here of cables. I think this is the worst thing ever. Oh, maybe I'm gonna get some scissors for this. Okay. Where does it say here? Oh, it's just, okay. It's not that much. Yeah, good. This is not the best solution. So if you guys want to do it with zip ties, I totally understand. I mean, this is just my way of doing it, and it's the easiest way of doing it right now. And the last one. Man, this is like high intense focusing stuff. Okay, so this is that. We will have to put this. I wonder. I can. Let's see if we can actually make this smaller. Yeah, a little bit better. Gonna plug the fan headers in, and then I hope I have enough room to just maybe please don't. And alright. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Mine, it dropped. My motherboard came with a antenna. It's actually quite useful if you're going to use a Bluetooth keyboard, for example. It will get the signal up from the drawer. So depending on your type of motherboard, as you can see, you have plenty of space, so you can go bigger with the motherboard and bigger with this and not bigger with this, I suppose. And you will need to go up, and this is enough. I mean, you have enough cable usually with the ones included in the package if you put it in the last drawer. So Final thoughts. It's not so hard to do, so if you want a more silent option and out of the way, you can actually do this. This is quite, actually, it's been a lot of fun. It doesn't take more than 2 hours of your time, 3 hours if you have a hard time planning, and you're probably gonna have longer cables, so you're gonna do more cable management than me. But and it's gonna probably take you half hour to the hardware store. You don't need so many screws. You just need, just so you remember, taller screws on the motherboard, a little bit shorter on the graphics card. Maybe if you don't have a bracket, you can do the same. Take another piece of wood. I mean, if you have like scraps, you can cut a piece of wood the same, put some holes inside, and just do it like shoelaces around the power supply and around this if you want, because as you can see, it's plenty hard. It's not gonna go anywhere. Plus you're not gonna open it every day. It's gonna be there stuck. So I already tested this in my Louqe Ghost S1. This setup, it's actually same temperature as the Ghost S1. It's nothing different from the Louqe, from the case itself, from being on the desk and me putting everything inside a closed area with not so much fresh air going around it. The only best thing about this is probably gonna be dust. In the Louqe Ghost S1, it's so much dust. I mean, every 3 to 4 months you have to take it apart completely and clean it, which is quite frustrating. Taking the components every time outside and cleaning them thoroughly. So this is gonna be a much more, I hope, a better solution for dust and noise. So you don't have it, because I had it like a meter, not even a meter, it was like an arm length from me, and it was so noisy every day. So hopefully this is gonna be a little bit much better in terms of quietness, and it's also closer to all the electric and everything. And now I'm not gonna have a mess of cables on the desk, because when you have the PC on the desk, all the cables come out through here, and it's always, the only thing I recommend is getting a USB hub and plug it in and put it on the desk, so it's easy for you to don't open the drawer and put your hand inside all the time. But I think it's quite okay. It turned out nice. It's easy thing to do at home if you want. It's also enough airflow for it to go, because it has enough underneath. As you can see, I can put my hand under the motherboard, so it has enough fluctuation of air. This one is going this way, the fan, so it's pushing air on this wall and is gonna go this way and this way outside. And these ones are pushing down, so the air will go like this, so all the hot air will go like this. And because the fin array it's stacked like this, the air will go, actually it's stacked like this, it's not the other way, but the hot air will also flow on the other side. Hopefully it's not going to be in time, it's not going to be too much, but yeah, this was for today. It was a good job, bad job, good job. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to comment. All the comments will be hopefully I will answer everybody's comments. Hopefully you're not gonna be really mean, but this was a really nice build. I'm quite happy. It's super clean, easy to do, cheap, and you don't need to buy a case right now if you don't want to and you're not sure what you want to get. Just use a drawer, and if you finished with all of this and you buy a case, you still have the original parts, so you can put the drawer back together without having in mind that you're gonna ruin this. Okay, have a great night, have a great day, see you next time.